Hi, y'all. So you're back on here in another episode of Indigo Podcast. And today, the topic is control the controllables. In life, there are many things that are out of our control, but I believe and know that there are many things we have control of, like our diet, your For You page, training, our words, and many other things that you can control. But obviously, there will be obstacles and things you can't control, like maybe it rains or maybe it's cold or whatnot. But it's not an excuse to just not control what you can in that situation. Just be like, oh, it's raining or oh, it's cold, so I'm not going to go run or I'm not going to go for a walk or whatever. You have to look at this situation and be like, okay, what can I do to combat that, and what can I do to make this as best as possible? But we're gonna get straight into it. I got 4 things here that kind of go along the lines of this, and I'm gonna just kind of explain it. The first thing is think of what you can do rather than what you cannot. Because I think one of the main things, and this used to happen to me when I was younger, one of the first thoughts that goes into your head when stuff hits the fan is, I can't do this. Like it's a very universal thought that when, let's say you're doing a hard workout and it starts getting challenging, you're like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, there's some weaknesses and things you may not be able to do yet. I think there's always something that you can do in that situation to get better. Because instead of focusing on what you can't do and what you're not capable of, you should focus on, okay, what can I do in this situation? What can I do to persevere? And what is my best effort on that day? And the main thing is just focus on that, hone in on that strength you have or the best thing you can do at that moment, and just repeat that consistently so you can grow. Because obviously, with consistent efforts and intentional efforts over extended period of time, you start to grow. Your weaknesses and things you thought were never possible slowly become reality. It just takes time. So main thing with this is just you have to hone in on what you can do instead of focusing on what you can do. Because if you focus on what you can't do, that's just not going to get you anywhere. That's a limiting mindset. So if you think of, okay, what can I do and what can I do to make this the best thing I can make it, even if it still might be considered bad in your eyes, what's the best effort I can put out, and can I do that just consistently and just get that better, make my weaknesses my strengths. But first thing, think of what you can't do. Wait, don't do that. Think of what you can do rather than what you cannot do. That's what I meant to say. But second thing, I've mentioned this before in a previous podcast episode, pivoting. I think this kind of goes along with this perfectly. But I've kind of addressed things you can control, like such as diet and training. Sometimes like this kind of happened to me today because with the whole storm, Hurricane Beryl, however you say it, it's a country name. However you say it, I went to Sprouts this morning, and it was closed. And I had like 4 things to get, and I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of a bummer. So I just found another Sprouts and ordered from there. I ain't gonna lie, at first I was low key teed up a little bit. I'm like, because I thought they were open, and old dude came out the front, and he's like, nah, we closed. I'm like, all right, cool. But like sometimes stores might not have the items you want. They might be completely closed, and you can't control that, Or maybe you might, like I said, it might be cold outside, or maybe your parents might have had a bad day at work, and they come home on some like OD stuff. Whatever this happens, you just have to think of what can you do to stop the situation from escalating. Because let's say your mom or dad comes home and they're on, they OD, and they like, oh, like, why didn't you wash the dishes, and whoop whoop, they just going crazy. If you argue back and smack your lips, it's gonna be escalated. If you just like, all right, if you just don't say anything at all and just do it, it won't escalate it, and you just shifted the trajectory of the whole situation. If it's cold outside, throw some layers on, throw a beanie on, get after it. It's pretty straightforward. You just shifted the trajectory of that. If they don't have an item at the store, if they're completely closed, maybe just go to a whole different store. But if they don't have an item at the store, what's the substitution? Can I get this instead of that? Can I get it from a different store? Things like that. Like, just think of a kind of a plan B or a thing you can do to substitute the situation, or just completely let the situation go. Like, sometimes things just are not in your favor. Like, maybe that job didn't call you back in or whatever. Maybe that job wasn't meant for you. Maybe you probably wouldn't have liked it anyway. Maybe you just looking for jobs and you just really didn't care about it. So just let it go, Some things, I think a lot of things in life don't really serve you. They don't really mean anything. There's a lot of things we just forget and don't really mean anything. And like a job that you probably didn't want to go to, and there's a lot of other jobs you could look for. It's better just let it go instead of dwell on like, oh, I ain't get that job, and oh, like da da da. Just pivot and be like, all right, what's the next thing, and what can I do to just advance from the situation? But main thing is accept the change, pivot, and just keep on moving. But the third thing I'm gonna address right here, discipline equals freedom, and I'm gonna explain this. I generally think you're truly free in this life when you have discipline and the will to change things you don't like or want to achieve. And this might include, for a lot of people, might want to lose a couple pounds, like the way you look, the people you're around to a certain extent, like family members or immediate family members. If you're underage and you don't really have anything going for you financially, you can't really leave, so you're just around them. But another thing, like how far you can run, the amount of muscle you have, all of these things can be changed if you just take the first step and you stack consistent bricks over time and forever. I mean, because I don't think consistency is just a one-time thing. Because a lot of people, like, for example, like I've mentioned this before, like it's the first of the month and they're like, well, not the first of, well, first of January 1st, obviously, like the first of the year, first day of the year. That's a better way to put it. They're like, I'm about to get my gym on, I'm about to lose all this weight, and they do it for like a week and they're done. No, with consistency, this thing that people get misconstrued. It's not a month thing or like a couple of days or a couple even decades. It's forever, like literally. Because the thing is, I really see the power of consistency just showing up over and over again. It's not just a temporary thing. It's for life, like long term, forever, infinity. Like that's how you have to look at it. Like it can't just be, I'm gonna be consistent for 3 months and then hop off. I don't look at it like that. You have to do it forever. Like it might seem extreme, but that's just how I look at it. It has to be forever. Because I mean, I think that's what really gets you to where you want to be. Like, I'm not gonna go on about consistency because I'm really passionate about it, but I'm gonna just skip. You get the point. It should last forever. I'm not about to go on a tangent about that because this video would be an hour long. You just gain more freedom and clarity to reach heights you never thought and imagined you could. Because I mean, when I first started running, like I thought 3 miles, 4 or 5 miles was OD, and I mean I've done that plenty of times now, and I'm gonna keep going from there. But it's just changing the perspective. Everything is relative, and when you are consistent, you just keep doing with what you have and making what you have at that moment, you start to realize that you're more capable of what you think, and what you once thought was quote unquote hard. It'll probably still be hard, but it'll be more easier to grasp and more easier to exert. How do I put this? It'll just be easier to wrap your head around, I guess. With the addition of confidence, experience, and resilience, you're more free and capable of handling most of what life throws at you. Not obviously there'll be some new things you've never dealt with before, but I feel like it's like kind of you're going to war. Like it gives you armor. It might sound cheesy, like some Minecraft stuff. You get like the silver and like bronze or like gold armor, and like you armored up. That's not what I'm like. Figurative armor. It gives you the tools to deal with. Let's say your boss gets mad at you or family fallout. It just gives you more tools to really navigate when real stuff happens, really decide the best solution and best way to go about it instead of just blowing up and making the situation worse. Because I think the worst thing you can do is just make it worse. I feel like the best thing to do is just, you can either put some good input or just do nothing at all. I think that's the best way to do it. But I feel like if you do make it worse, you learn from it. So actually, I think you should make it worse. Well, not deliberately, but if you do make it worse, it just happens to happen that way. Then you just learn from it. I think everything's a learning experience. But overall, the discipline, consistency, and intentionality required for like training, it carries off, and it's a clear trade-off between real life and obviously training is real life. I'm talking about real stuff that life just throws at you instead of it being like you choosing to do that. But that's why I love it so much. It teaches you how to choose a process and choose to endure a process over and over again, and just makes you more grounded and thoughtful when adversity hits, because it's bound to happen. But the next thing I have here, controlling the controllables sets the conditions for success. Like things like meal prepping, consistency in any areas like podcasting, content creation, your diet, training, whatever like that, and just showing up for yourself. It just sets the conditions for you to win. A lot of people might seem like weirded out or might think it's odd what you're doing, but it ultimately just shapes the trajectory of your life. Because if you don't set those conditions, no one else is gonna do it. Like no one else is gonna have the will and drive to do it for you. Because obviously the main one. Obviously, you get help along the way, and you have, a community and mentors that give you tidbits and things to learn off of. But you're the one who takes the first step to really do what you want to do. And that starts with just controlling what you can at that point. Like, can I run a mile? Okay, I'll start running a mile like 5 times a week. When I start getting good at that, I'll run 2. When I start getting good at that, I'll run 3. Progression or whatever. But just controlling, like, just start with, okay, I can draw a bird. I don't know. I can draw a bird. Then maybe I can draw a fox, or I can draw a human. Maybe I can start drawing anime. Start with what you got. But it all comes down to a few things. Can you do what you have? Can you do it consistently? Can you enjoy the process? Can you be as present as possible along the way? I think being present is like the main. Obviously, consistency is a big one, but being present is like the main thing I've learned. I've kind of mentioned it, but like when I'm on runs or kind of when I'm lifting, like I'll think like, all right, just stay in the set. Like, don't think about the whole workout. Like I did that on this. I started doing that in terms of lifting this week, and I could definitely tell a little bit of a difference. Like, just focusing on, okay, this set, because when you have a full workout, you might look ahead too much. You're like, oh, I got leg extension next, or oh, I got Bulgarian split squats next. You're like, doom. Like, you're like, oh my gosh. But just focus on, okay, I'm on RDLs right now. I don't have calf raises until exercise number 6. You don't have to worry about that right now. That's going to take care of itself, because you're going to hit that. You're going to be intentional, and you're going to push yourself. So just focus on, I'm on RDLs right now, and I'm going to focus on this movement and this movement only for this time being. And then when you move on, you move on. So just being present in the mile you're in, the rep you're in, the hour you're in, the day you're in, just as much as possible. I think that really carries over, really just grounds you on what you're doing and gives you the ability to really control what you're doing at that time. But that's episode 28, just talking about controlling the controllables. I think controlling the controllables is really important, because I think a lot of people just think they can't control like their life, and they just think they're hopeless. But I think you just have to get out there and take the first step. I think it's the main thing. And then when you get started and do what you can and be consistent, you really realize you have more control and leeway than you once thought. 'Cause I think a lot of people, they just watch other people, because I've done it before. You watch other people do things that you think are really cool, and like, dang, I wish I could do that. But you can do that. It might sound cheesy, but you just gotta be the one who wants to do it, and the one who wants it the most for yourself. No one else can want it more than you, and no one else is gonna do it for you. So that's episode 28, Control the Controllables, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.